we did the raid. I have a hunch, right? A slight hunch that they're continuing the tuning philosophy from Aberrus and Amir Drasil. It was not a hard raid.
It was very fun though.
Yeah.
Some of that might have been down to the fact that we were all completely loony for some reason yesterday. That was great. But I think it was really good. I think, okay, I'll get the bad parts out of the way first because I am a cynical bastard. The fact that it's not really tied in with story whatsoever is
That's
insane.
weird. It seems we just turn up and kill her. Disconnected from everything. If you think about the way that it takes place in game, it's so bizarre. The last time we saw Xal'atath, she was raging in anger, absolutely furious, and her dark heart is, destroyed, right?
Not destroyed, it's like chipped.
Or chipped.
Yeah.
And then we see her in this. She doesn't have the dark heart, but she's very confident. So,
It doesn't show the dark heart.
yeah. Well, we don't know if she has it, but she's not, gleefully fondling it or something. So then some people are going to look at this and think, wow, she really she really got on top of her mental health.
Yeah, she
in
did.
the few days between these events.
She did some 4x4 breathing, was good, right
That's
there,
it.
like that was her. Just box breathing herself back into not being phased and go down and bully the shit out of Paransarek.
So it's fairly strange because it feels like it played the other way around.
I think it did.
It makes sense to me that we did most of the campaign, then we kill Ansarek, then the Nerubian attack on Hallowfall happens, led by the Ascendeds that Zal can mind control. That's what seems to make sense.
Yeah, the problem I have is that it literally wasn't what I call it. It literally wasn't in concrete anywhere in writing.
No.
She said it herself, that damage changed nothing. If you see character dialogue and take it absolutely at face value, I understand because Blizzard have been really bad at having characters say things from perspectives and not from word of God for a while. But I think that damage changed something. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been quite as mad. Anyway,
The vast majority of information is communicated via tone and body language. Her words were, "This is fine." Her tone and body language were not that this is fine.
Reed! This changes nothing, I swear.
I'll definitely get you next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
Not good for Zal.
I think the major problem I have is how they clearly knew that they didn't know when the fuck anything lined up.
No.
So they just didn't put any text anywhere. It's really it was kind of dark for me because I checked, right? I went back through the campaign and I read every bit of dialogue I could find. I read every bit of dialogue I could find in the raid, and I could not find a single thing that was remotely close to confirmation of a timeline or anything between. Because even you get to the bit at the end of the campaign, right, where you give the Broken Queen back to the Vizier, Executor Nizrek, and there's a wee thing of Widow Arachne, the Queen's partner, probably. And I was like, okay, surely they say something, right? Surely they say, oh, we've rescued our Queen. It's time to go beat the shit out of her hateful little swear word daughter. And I was like, okay. Yes, I censored about it.
Now, Matt, you almost did a no-no.
I almost said the word the Americans don't like, but they didn't. They was so completely. You always have allies in Azj-Kahet, and the other thing was like the Azj-Kahet. I think it was something about with the forces of Azj-Kahet and the Harbinger defeated is what Illyria says at the end.
Well, there
Which
you go.
which doesn't really make sense if Illyria is like also the Queen's still installed and all of her armies are still down there.
Yeah, so it has to be that.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a consequence of them they tried to tie this all together, but it ultimately feels like Ansarek did fuck all in this plot whatsoever, except be
Basically,
be a part in her plan to raise this army. But then this army got thwacked. Not off screen, right? But it wasn't quite the epic battle scene where we beat everything back. It was like a little battleground where we'd fought stuff before. And it feels like something like, what's it called? the Dawnbreaker, right? The Dawnbreaker dungeon would have made more sense for this, because that feels like because the Order of Night took over Meldar, and then Ashgahet's mighty forces under the Harbinger come up, and it's like a handful of boys in the field. Obviously, she gets through to the Priory and takes over and stuff.
Yeah.
That's all like thing. But it just feels like they kind of didn't. They kind of botched some of the interconnected planning of this. And I feel like a lot of it comes down to, in future, we're likely going to see the raid disconnected from the campaign.
Yes,
substantially more.
I think there's a chance that's good. I think there's a chance that's good. Now, the thing is, like, it works really well for FF14, but FF14 has got trials, and trials are there to give you the big boss fight spectacle. WoW just doesn't have anything like that. So I don't really know what they'd replace it with. I like the idea of the campaign just being a big thing that you can go and play, but if it is going to be that, I kind of want a harder version. I want a fight with Xal'atath at the end that feels like a fight in the way that FF will give you that.
Yeah, because even fighting the Broken Queen was literally as an unholy DK. I pressed my cooldowns and then she exploded. And I was like, oh, she's dead, had 2 HP. Okay, I guess didn't kill her. Move on. I'm like, wait, what? To be fair, some of that is like, I think this keeps coming back to me that this expansion needed like a month or two.
Yes.
Because the final campaign step where you're going into the Priory and everything's all like Dark Flame and stuff, that didn't really work very well for me, in the sense that my NPC allies were off fighting every other thing around every corner, and I was kind of bombing ahead, and then the bar ran out to 0 and nothing happened to me. I'm like,
yeah,
this cannot be the way that anyone on that team wanted it to ship.
The bar matters if you believe the bar matters. Otherwise, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And as soon as the illusion is broken, it's kind of ruined. For me, the illusion was not broken for most of it, and then at the end it was completely broken. I realized, like, oh, what's going on? Also, where's Farron? And she was stuck fighting someone way behind me. I then go to stand in the thing to get my light back, and it just inches and inches and inches.
Yeah, like you can see there was a vision somewhere, but they didn't get to make the vision actually happen.
Yeah.
And that's the part that frustrates me when it comes to this kind of... Because, like, I liked the story being shorter, because they were clearly very able to use that shorter runtime well and fill out bits.
Yeah.
So it didn't feel like there were massive gaps or like we ran out of budget. Sorry about that. So it feels like this is like, maybe they're in the process of transitioning to not tying the raid into the story or something, and they kind of didn't make that choice until far too late in the war within development, and thus we have all of these artifacts of it.
It reeks to me of stuff being in flux.
Yeah, it also feels the same, because I see someone mentioned as well when I brought up the Dawnbreaker. In fact, I'll ask you, why and when does the Dawnbreaker dungeon and its events happen?
Well, you see, Matt, that is something that goes down whenever the Dawn was like there for a long time, and the Dawn was really important, and then it broke, and then we had to kill spiders.
Yes, fair enough.
I think that's the standard recap of the story of the Dawnbreaker.
Yeah. So there's a world here where you can see all of these, like...
Anyone at Blizzard who heard that screaming internally.
Yeah. I feel like the Dawnbreaker maybe was considered part of the campaign story at a point.
Oh.
Because that being the bit that leads up to Xal'atath...
it would be way cooler.
Yeah, it makes sense. You see, oh shit, while we were dealing with Ansarak in the raid, we've been attacked. She waited for us to be trapped, to be locked in there. Whatever else, sort of that.
Oh my god, that would make complete sense, even with the boss.
Yeah, and then you can have Ansarak's paranoia be realized, because she's like, "Where are my fucking guards? Where are my guards?" And Xal'atath's like, "Lol, I told them to go upstairs." And she's like, "Ah, shit, I guess I'm alone here." Whatever else, like that would have worked, I think, as an overall bit. And it's just a little bit of shuffling, and you can see how it could have
You can see how it
conceivably-
all would make sense there.
Yeah, but then the Dawnbreaker's a dungeon.
And maybe it's a dungeon where they can't do a proper narrative experience because it's a funky dungeon.
Because it's a funky dungeon with a...
That's the technical
I don't
term.
even know if you can do follower dungeon in there.
You
I
can.
know. Can you?
Yep.
Okay, because it's always been disabled for me. I don't know
Now,
why.
at the time,
Yeah.
it was early in the expansion, and I was so powerful, I didn't really need my followers.
Yeah, what about the end boss? That's a good point, because it clearly happens before we attack, because the end boss of the Dawnbreaker is the raid boss. That starts after we fight in the Dawnbreaker.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a little bit of like weird stuff there. It's kind of awkward. Yeah, I don't... There's maybe a little bit of shuffling there where the dungeon's not being connected to story. Because it was really good, the Rookery was.
That was brilliant.
And then that was it.
The Rookery immediately made you feel, what the fuck? Well,
Yeah.
they've got a budget now. This is a spectacle in my WoW.
Then they ran out. And then you go, where's the other dungeons, Blizzard? Oh, they're in the dungeon finder queue? Okay, fine. And like that makes sense for the ones that are very intentionally designed that way. Like the Cinder Brewmetery, for example. Like that makes sense to be out of the way post-campaign. You just clean that up after there's a little lead-in quest. I think that's fun. But it just feels really, really awkward.
Well, what I do think about is Metzen comes in 8 months into this expansion's development, and it's fairly clear that things did change narratively.
Oh yeah, it's clear as day.
I don't think the Dark Heart was initially just... well, I don't think the key to Aberys was the Dark Heart initially.
No.
The framing of that cinematic was just like, oh, this gets us in there.
This gets us into the Key of Aberys, which we don't ever go to, by the way.
It's,
It's funny when you think about it.
I think the messiness of Dragonflight makes sense. Given things were
Yeah.
chopping and changing, I wonder if some of that's reflected here. It's also their first time since a lot of changes have happened, shipping and expansion. I think the overall level of improvement's humongous. So, if
Yeah,
they got
yeah.
these, if they were able to tie these things together a little more, that would have been amazing. I think here's the problem, though. You say a month delay.
That's nothing like...
That's 4 weeks. You've just pushed back the entire World Soul saga by 4 weeks, you bastard.
That's half a patch cycle these days.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. And so it's not just like we prioritize launch day.
Yeah.
Blizzard, though, have got so many things happening simultaneously because they're simultaneously working on Midnight and every patch of this expansion.
And The Last Titan.
And The Last Titan. And all of those things, production-wise, I mean, some more disconnected than others, but loads of those have got knock-on effects on each other. So there's a lot of times, I think, with a live service game where it seems really intuitive or really obvious that they should have went for a delay. But we're not the people looking at the production schedules.
Yeah, because a month delay then means your expansion's out for 4 weeks. And then you have a patch with the anniversary event, which just completely throws your entire plan for Mythic release into disarray.
Yeah, but then
And you
also-
can't delay that patch because that's the anniversary event patch.
The people who are working for the extra 4 were probably allocated to work on another thing, and the rest of the schedule also depends on that thing.
Yeah. So I think that the answer here is,
God, project management must be hell on
Yeah.
something this big.
yeah, have Blizzard eventually had, if they developed this great fucking victory plan, and now they're like, the victory plan must go ahead at all costs, which obviously results in things kind of shipping that may not be done or completely up to standard yet. And it's like, well, is shipping it worth it? And the answer seems to be a little bit leaning on the yes side yet, or for now rather, because nothing's so bad that it completely destroys your experience. That said, I'm sure there'll be people leaving the game if they log in and their delves are impossible now. That's the kind of thing that you need to be super careful of when it comes to shipping these fixes late in the day. And it's going to be like one day, but it's going to be, sorry, you needed to spend your 4 bountiful keys today. Tier 8 delves are impossible.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
That's why they're doing this on Friday night. You
Yeah.
don't allocate fixes on Friday night unless you really think you need them.
Yeah, and they do, like, obviously they do. So it's really awkward.
Or I guess you're like CloudStrike or something.
Oh,
So we don't test, we just fucking straight to production. Go in, no prep.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. But the raid was good. The raid was very fun.
Yes, so that's it. The raid experientially was fun. Some of that's because we're a very fun bunch. Mm-hmm. So some of it's that. I think novelty obviously plays a role, and I'm left with that strange thing. And this is really good for multiplayer games. Sometimes you've had fun, you don't really even know if it was good, but you were just having the crack with people. So the real test, like, will be heroic. We're not going to be able to tell you anything properly until we're doing it heroic and are not like stupidly overgeared or anything like that. So far, I'll say things look pretty promising. Ansarak looks like a cool boss. Once you toss in some heroic mechanics.
Ansarak is straight up, what if Sylvanas' boss fight wasn't broken and boring? You're like, damn, but nice.
One of the most epic phases of any boss fight. It had the chains, man.
I wish I had chains.
The chains of domination
on the desk.
Oh my god. I know what Blizzard have got to do. They need to release a transmog onto the store or the trading post called the Chains of Domination. I don't really know what they are or what they do. This is just what happens when I think about patch 9.1. Things get a bit loopy and weird.
Yeah. I still can't believe it was 9.1. Because I keep forgetting that was like half expansion anyway. Yeah. So is there anything really to say about the raid in general? I like that it's a little you in the Severed Pact.
Yep.
I prefer that to, and everyone is here all the time.
Yes. No Azeroth Avengers going on here, thankfully.
Yeah. Which is the awkward part of like the campaign being tied to the raid then, and obviously you can see why they decided against it. Because it just felt like we were a strike team with a Severed Pact and to put the Queen out of her misery. So I thought it was like very, very nice. I think it's hard to get a feel for a lot of the boss on normal because the first 6 were just walked over them, like
they
straight walked over them.
They died so easily. For us in particular, though, we had, well, I was mostly in blues because I didn't get to play last week. I have catching up to do. God damn it! I have 10 coffer keys. So, oh no, I have 10 coffer keys. Blizzard are going to make delves proper. I can't believe it.
You may do your 4 after stream then.
I can't believe Hazakostas has got me again.
Always
rough. So we had that. I wasn't healing, so we did have proportionately more damage. So we did
3 healers.
We do have 3 healers.
We had 3 healers, yeah.
Oh. It just felt like the damage we had in our party
minutes.
absolutely pasted the raid.
Yeah, and that was absolutely nothing to do with the fact that we had Dakar with us. Nothing to do with him being.
See, I'd like
him literally like getting 100 parses on everything.
I'd like to think that my non-existent DPS at least kind of helped balance the raid, which was my intent all along naturally.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess initial impression, kind of like good vibes, looks cool. I think the way they've pulled off the Nerubian play spaces are great. I think the tile set's great, but we need to play heroic until we can properly talk about it.